Hi guys, how are you? Hello. So I'm on Zoom here. Hi there. Hi Jane. Lunchtime for everybody. So it's a funny time, but I've gone onto Facebook, so I'm streaming there. But if you've got any questions, over here on Zoom, and so you can ask them in the chat room here. And really what I'm going to be talking about today is I'm going to be talking about pre and post menopause, and I'm just going to be taking you through some of the main issues and also any questions that you've got. So sort of just helping you in terms of support pre. So, the important things to do for yourself as a woman to support your hormones so that when you do go through menopause, it's as pain-free and stress-free as it can be for you. And of course, everybody is different. And here's the thing, everybody's got a different issue that might be driving menopause symptoms. And your issue isn't menopause. And this is where I think that women get quite overwhelmed and unsure about things. The issue itself isn't menopause. The issue is unresolved hormonal health issues, blood sugar dysregulation, stress that has never been dealt with, never actually taken time out for yourself. So it's all of those things that we talk about, your diet, that will either support or hinder you when you go through menopause. Menopause is meant to be a wonderful time, a beautiful time where you come into your own, where you stop having to think so much about other people, where you can actually stop maybe thinking about your day job at some stage. Your kids may have left. So it's this beautiful opening up of your kind of artistic area and things and projects that you have been thinking about or things you wanted to do. Maybe you had childhood dreams and you've never actually realized those dreams. And this is kind of the next stage for you, the stage where you can do these things. And instead of thinking of menopause negatively as a time where you might be retiring, as a time where you will have ill health, as a time where you might just feel foggy, grumpy. Even some people say they expect to feel fat and frazzled. Instead of feeling these things, think of it as this new era, and people are living a lot longer today. So it really is this new era in your life post-menopausal, and not to get caught up in all the negative symptoms. And the negative symptoms, like I said, are due to other factors influencing menopause. So hi to those on the Facebook feed. I'm going to be answering questions over on the Zoom feed. So if you want to come over there, I'll be answering questions. But just say hi if you're here. Okay, so let's get started. So, as I've mentioned, menopause is a time of a time you can reinvent yourself, and it's a time where you're meant to find those parts of you that maybe have been hidden because you've been overworked, because you've been stressed, because you've been a caregiver. And so this is the time for you. Now, pre-menopause, those years leading up to menopause, there are some pivotal times in your life, and ages are pivotal times. You've got the age of 28, we've got the age of 35, and then we've got the age of 40. 28 and 35 are pretty pivotal, and it's at about 35 that young women start to feel the effects of hormonal dysregulation. Now, hormonal dysregulation can be due to a few factors. It can be due to stress, it can be due to a bad diet, it can be due to genetics, it can be due to blood sugar fluctuations. And then what these will do is they will have an impact on your cortisol levels, your DHEA levels, your estrogen levels, and your progesterone levels. So some signs that your hormones are out of balance pre-menopausal, some signs that you really need to get your hormones in order so that you kind of go through menopause and you get out of it what you're meant to get out of it. Menopause is not, there's no mistake, and menopause should not leave you feeling flawed. So if you've suffered all your life from painful heavy periods, sore swollen breasts, or if you've had breast lumps, if you've had uterine, ovarian, or breast cancer, if you've had your gallbladder removed, or you've had recurrent gallbladder flare-ups, if you've had or for IBS or gut symptoms, stubborn weight, if you've had thyroid problems, metabolic problems, anxiety, depression, all of these things indicate that your hormones are not balancing as well as they should be. And it's an indication that you really need to support your hormones. So if you're premenopausal, if you're kind of 35, between 35 and 45, you're in that pre-phase, most likely what's happening now is there's a couple of things going on. One is either your thyroid's being affected, that's your metabolic rate, hair loss, feeling cold, feeling depressed, maybe gaining weight, foggy all the time, cloudy. Another is cortisol fluctuations. You might have low cortisol or you might have high cortisol. High, again, is where you're feeling wired and tired, where you've got lots of adrenaline in your body. Low cortisol is where you feel fuzzy, it's difficult to exercise, you might feel depressed all the time, you might feel teary all the time, you're overwhelmed and you really don't know how you can go on in life. And that really is that low cortisol. It is quite, it really impacts your mental well-being. And so for you and for everybody, it will be different. You'll have this little bit of a kryptonite, this one thing that, or two things for some of you, that will be reoccurring through your life, through your 20s and your 30s. This will be the thing that will probably cause menopause to be either easy or maybe not as good, maybe it's a negative thing. So for me, I know that my thyroid fluctuates. When I get stressed, if I let my blood sugar go out, my thyroid will fluctuate. So I know that I need to work on my thyroid in order to stay healthy ongoing. And it's continual work that I need to do. It's not just one time. I need to continually keep coming back to working on my thyroid. So first of all, you need to understand what everything's doing. So that's where the testing comes in handy. You need to understand what your thyroid is doing. You need to understand what your hormones are doing. And if you have recurrent gut problems, you need to understand if there's a parasite, if there's bacteria, if it's candida, what's going on. Guessing can work, and it can get a lot of people to the next phase in their health journey. If someone has all the signs of candida and then they do a candida cleanse, it can help, and then the candida can go away. But if this person does a candida cleanse and then nothing really happens, or it gets worse, or things keep coming back, that's an indication that something else is going on. So first of all, you really need to get all your ducks in a row with knowing exactly what's going on with your own health. There are lots of ways to do it. You can do testing, you can answer there's so many questionnaires out there on hormones and what might be going on, and tracking is one of the best ways to do it. If you track, you can get a real indication of what's going on. And I would start with your menstrual cycle. So you track the day of your menstrual cycle, you have the day of the cycle there, and then you will put your symptoms, you will put how you're feeling, you will put your bleed, how long your cycle is, all that kind of thing. And after a couple of months, you just get this amazing library of information on your own self, your own body, and you can see what's cyclic and what's not. And then you'll know your symptoms, and you'll know what your hormones are doing. You'll figure it out, and you'll see that symptoms like pain, headaches are cyclic. You'll see that maybe sometimes your thyroid and your metabolism is fine, and then once a week, once in a month, once a week in a month, you'll find that your metabolism will slow down. You might get constipated, you might get depressed, you might get headaches, you might get bad eyesight. All of these things you will start to notice there's this cycle. So pre-menopause, you need to figure out what's going on. And the most important thing is diet. So you need a diet that's going to support your blood sugar levels. And for many women, that's a little bit different. Here at the Breakthrough Program, we've got a diet that helps us support blood sugar. It helps us support leptin. Sometimes some women need to take it a step further. They need to do different things. Sometimes you need to tweak. Sometimes you find that fasting might work depending on what your hormones are doing, or the keto diet. Some of you might be doing vegetarian, vegan diet. So you need to create a diet that works for you using the breakthrough principles and creating one that supports your blood sugar. That's the biggest thing you can do for your hormones, and that's the biggest thing you can do to ease into your menopause. Once you've got your blood sugar regulated and you haven't got insulin resistance, everything else is going to work a little bit more easier, and you'll find it works with ease getting into that period in your life. So definitely blood sugar fluctuations, that's what you need to get on top of, and you can use that with diet. Secondly is stress. We just get stressed. We do more, we try and do more, we try to achieve more, we get stressed with little things during the day. So keeping on top of your stress levels and keeping on top of regulating your blood sugar, keeping on top of that. Those are the best things you can do. Now, as you notice changes in your menstrual cycle, you will notice that as you come up to menopause. You might notice, some women notice they might miss some. Some women notice it will get extremely heavy. Now, if it starts to get extremely heavy, that is an indication that there might be some issues going on with estrogen. So you do need to address that. The one thing you don't want is to get estrogen dominant after menopause, because that can cause issues with inflammation, pain, thyroid, and all of those types of things. So you just need to be careful with your estrogen levels. But normally what starts to happen is progesterone might come down, estradiol might come down a little bit, follicle stimulating hormone will go elevated, because that's the feedback mechanism. And all of this sort of starts at around, you've got this starting at 45, this shift. You need to get on top of it by the time you're 45, and then this shift can last until you're 55. So 45 and 55, there can be a lot going on. For some women, that might happen very quickly. For others, it might last a long time. So you just need to be aware that that can happen, and during that time, again, working on your blood sugar levels, making sure your thyroid is optimal, and working on your stress levels is very, very important. Now, in terms of symptoms that you might get, so after the age of 55, and as your FSH levels are rising, you can start to get different levels. Symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, and also infertility. So some women still trying to conceive after 50. But a lot of that is due to stress. It's actually stress. It's the cortisol that affects the FSH levels a lot. So if you can get your cortisol under control and keep your cortisol at a nice level place, you'll find that will help your hot flushes. That will really help. So keeping your stress levels down, or helping your body to adapt to stress, is huge. And we've got a little bit about that in the Breakthrough program. We do talk about adapting to stress, using things like meditation, quiet time, mindfulness, all of those kind of things. I was actually looking at a study the other day, and in terms of stress and blood sugar, there is a study that just shows eating slowly actually helps to reduce your cortisol and your blood sugar levels. So it's quite interesting. The FSH also will cause the low libido, and it will cause headaches. And I know a lot of women, particularly after 35, after 40, do struggle with low libido. So again, low libido, the first place you need to go are your stress and cortisol levels. Are they in check? You might find of doing things like meditation for a week or 2 weeks, or doing yoga for a couple of weeks, and sort of tapering back any intense exercise, you might actually find that helps your libido. So remember that this part of it, it's stress, it's cortisol. Although the follicle stimulating hormone is rising during menopause and pre-menopause, causing irritability, menstrual irregularity, low libido, hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, focus on the stress, and that will help stabilize the follicle stimulating hormone. FSH and LH, you can get tested in your blood. So you can go to your GP and you can ask for estradiol, testosterone, progesterone, FSH, LH. Get those done in your bloods. If you still got your menstrual cycle, get them done on around day 21. If you haven't got your menstrual cycle, get them done anyway, because then you can see what those hormones are doing. If your FSH is super, super high, there are things you can do to bring it down to help stabilize your severe symptoms. Things like acupuncture can help with hot flushes and irritability and low libido. Cleansing is always wonderful. Stress, like I've mentioned, and then using blue-green algae. Blue-green algae is fantastic for those menopause symptoms. Particularly the worst. So the worst symptoms, well, the worst ones I find, the worst ones that clients come to me with are night sweats, just heating up at night, getting so sweaty that you have to put the covers back, and it's just, it's crazy. So night sweats, hot flushes, anxiety, fatigue, insomnia, and rapid weight gain. Rapid weight gain can be difficult because your hormones are just going so out of control due to a number of different factors that it's difficult to kind of get back on the path. So definitely working on your stress levels, and that will help with those other symptoms as well. It's really the best thing you can do for elevated FSH. Get those tested when you do your yearly bloods, your annual bloods at your GP. We have got a list of bloods in the booklet in phase 5, week 4, to help you know what to ask for. It's important to get yearly blood tests so you can see what everything is doing. You'll also notice other problems that you may not have attributed to menopause or what's going on with your metabolism at the time. So you may notice high cholesterol. High cholesterol is normally to do with low metabolism, elevated estrogen, and high sugar in the diet. It's not so much fat, so just be aware of that. Thinning skin is another one, hair loss is another one, metabolic syndrome, so that's where you've got skinny legs, skinny arms, but you have a lot of weight around your tummy. That's a huge one with metabolic syndrome, is your diet, your blood sugar. You need to regulate your blood sugar. You need to cut out sugar altogether if you've got metabolic syndrome. You need to cut out sugar altogether if you've got lots of weight, and actually start doing lots of mixing up what you're doing. So it's very different. It's very different having weight all around your belly than having weight on your bums and hips. It needs to be looked at differently. And then finally, other problems that I found can occur are depression as well. So definitely starting where you need to start, and start and focus on your blood sugar. That's the first place to focus on. You know, if you find you were having a really low fat diet, and you're having things like acai bowl for breakfast, maybe a light salad for lunch, and then some steamed veg and a bit of chicken for dinner, I think that's a sign that that's not working. You need to look at other alternatives, and have a look at how you felt on the breakthrough program. You know, monitor yourself. How did you feel? What about your body? What about your weight? What about your muscle? What about your fat? What about your brain health? What about your mood? What about your sleep? Have a look at what benefited from doing the program. Have a look at what didn't shift so much, and that will give you an idea of what you need to do to actually close the gap between those, because not every single symptom is going to be ameliorated by a 21-day cleanse. There will be other things going on, but by understanding what the cleanse helped will give you an idea of what you need to do next to support. You may need to work on your gut health. You may need to work on your thyroid. You may need to work on your stress some more. You may need to try some keto stuff. You may need to try some cool stuff with the diet and do a little bit of fasting, depending on what your hormones are doing. Maybe you need to do a different kind of exercise. Maybe you're just doing yoga and actually you need to be doing some intense interval. Maybe you're doing F45 every day and that's just stressing your body out. So you need to take a step back and do other things. So you can see there's still lots to look at to get it right for you. And this is where tracking helps. If you track and you write things down, you won't get overwhelmed. If you deal with one thing at a time, you won't get overwhelmed. If you have specific goals, you won't get overwhelmed either. So next, once you've really looked at your diet, looked at your blood sugar and balanced your blood sugar, you need to know what your thyroid's doing. I just had mine tested, and my TSH was getting high. It was 1.6. You know, I wanted about 1.2. It was 1.6, which for me, I feel is too high. If it's 1.6, my body's not working how it should be. My reverse T3 was 495, which is way too high. Reverse T3 means there's some inflammation and you're not using active thyroid T3. My T4 was at 18, way too high for T4, and my T3 was at 4.6, which is actually okay. And my antibodies were slightly elevated at 33. All very minor, but what it means for me is my metabolism, my thyroid right now isn't working, so I need to figure out the root cause. I need to figure out what's caused that slight anomaly. If I went to the GP and I showed the GP those results, he would say, you're perfectly fine, you're okay. The problem being is if I leave those results like that, year after year after year, they're going to get worse. In 10 years' time, I will be exhausted. I will have arthritis. I might have high cholesterol. I might even have depression and need to go on to antidepressants. So it's about nipping things in the bud and knowing what's going on. So once you balance your blood sugar, get tested for your thyroid. Go to a GP that that does the full testing, the reverse T3, the T4, the T3, TSH, and antibodies. get that test done and rule out thyroid, because if you've got any anomalies in your thyroid, you want to work on them. Whenever you get your bloods from the GP, whatever you do, always keep a copy and have a look at it yourself. So normally they say you're fine, but you want to see where your results are. Are they at the higher end? Are they at the lower end? Always keep your results, keep a file at home, and just keep records so you can have a look. You know, you can have a look 5 years from now, you can have a look at this year's and just say, okay, functionally, how am I doing? Am I healthier than I was 5 years ago? Is there something I need to work on? Is something getting worse? You need to have these kind of standpoints, as well as feeling good. You need to know things are moving in the right direction so that you go on with your optimal health way into your 70s, 80s, 90s, and hopefully 100s. Stop pushing through it to restore your thyroid. You know, you do need to rest to look after your thyroid. And then the vital nutrients for your thyroid: iodine, selenium, and zinc. Those are very, very important. You can even look at doing a multi, or you can look at supplementing with them, and just to help that out. So just be aware that your balancing blood sugar is a big part of supporting menopause, and supporting your thyroid is an even bigger part when it comes to really getting through it with energy, really getting through it with vitality. I'm just seeing if there's any questions so far. No questions. Okay, I shall keep on. Where was I going to go? So yeah, I was going to say that. So one thing I do notice with a lot of clients that come and see me, particularly, you know, women, I find that those who are people pleasers, maybe perfectionists, like doing it yourself, constantly trying to do something, or if somebody does something, you might go over it. Maybe you find the cleaner doesn't do his job as good as you. All those kind of things, or you get irritated at the way your husband packs the dishwasher, all those kind of things. Those are the little things that will put your cortisol out. They may seem very small, but they will, and I do see that an awful lot. We talked about balancing out cortisol, and there's two different. We've got the very, very fatigue, and we've got the hyper high alert. So the fatigue is where you're fuzzy, you don't feel like doing anything, you might even feel depressed, you might want to cry, you might ruminate, have lots and lots of ruminating thoughts. It's a difficult place to be, because it's really difficult to get yourself motivated, and you feel like more is going on. You feel like, maybe, what's wrong with me? Am I sick? Have I got an illness? What's going on? But that's your cortisol. So you really need to try and lift that. You can lift that with a few things. Low cortisol needs sodium. It needs a lot of sodium. So you can take, you know, up to half a teaspoon of natural sea salt in water a day. Holy basil tea is wonderful. Ginseng, withania, rhodiola herbs are beautiful. Vitamin C is very, very important. I did talk the other day on the slides, I did have around 400 to 500 milligrams a day. You know what? I love doing an adrenal protocol I do with my clients. Is a really high dose vitamin C, 8,000 milligrams in divided doses for up to 10 days. You feel you've got a cortisol issue, that will boost you. You'll feel amazing after that. It's such a wonderful thing to do. And post-menopausal, it's something you should probably be doing every 3 to 6 months, just to give yourself that boost. It will also help with things like connective tissue, your immune system, and that kind of thing. Magnesium is very, very important. Now, you can take anything from 400 milligrams of magnesium up to 4 grams. That's a big, big leap. But some people need a lot of magnesium. Some people are highly anxious. Some people are highly constipated. Some people are highly stressed. Some people are highly depressed. Some people are total insomniacs, and they need a big dose. So start low, see how it goes. I've had clients do up to 3 grams and they feel amazing. I've had others that do it and get a few leg cramps. So start low and get to your dose, and then do that for a short period of time. But magnesium for you might be the missing link, particularly if you're suffering in menopause, premenopausal issues, anxiety, insomnia, leg cramps, fatigue, irritability, those kind of things, really bad blood sugar fluctuations. So magnesium might be something that you need to take in a high dose. And of course, things like Epsom salt baths help as well. Meditation is a no-brainer. We should all be doing it. We should all be having quiet time. However you do it, you need to factor it in the day. So you can factor it in doing mindfulness. You can just, just being aware when you're making a cup of tea, just being aware of you making it, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. You can either use Headspace, Calm, Buddhify, Omnify, all of those kind of apps to just help you through it, to help you, support you, to do the meditation if you're not very good at sitting there. And, you know, you only need to do a few minutes a day, but you need to get your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems balanced out, and this will help as well. So testing your hormones is important. Adapting to stress is important. These are kind of the main pivotal, the main pillars of pre and post menopause. And then of course there are other avenues to explore depending on what's going on. So testing your hormones, testing your thyroid, adapting to stress, looking after your thyroid, exercising in the right way for you, exploring your sexuality can be one, because there can sometimes be a different kind of energy, and embracing this change to do new things, definitely doing new things, whatever that might be, really doing new things and kind of embracing this change in you as a good thing. If you do have any vaginal issues, and I know that, let's just talk about dryness here, and when dryness can cause atrophy and that can cause pain. That can be a symptom that a lot of women do get, and it's not a very comfortable one. You can get the thinning of the vaginal walls, pain and burning on intercourse, the need for more lubrication, bleeding or spotting after intercourse, even shortening of the vaginal canal. So that can happen, and then that can also cause issues with urinary incontinence, so going to the bathroom a little bit more. So really that's about helping your estrogen levels. You can do things like evening primrose oil. You can do things like peony, licorice. They really help with the estrogen levels, and just having a really great diet, and have things that support mucous membranes. Basically, it's mucous membranes down there. So vitamin E, vitamin A, bone broth is wonderful. Blue-green algae also helps as well. And then use coconut oil as a lubricant. Please don't use any chemicals down there. And don't use anything. Don't use anything, you know, that's got, you know, that's got lots of chemicals on. Let's say, so the lubricant, but you know, things that you might use that have lots of chemicals on, let's say, because that can cause thinning of the walls down there. So that's that, and but definitely coconut oil is wonderful. And there was something else I was going to say there. And also, if you feel you do get problems with thrush, if you do feel you do get issues and irritation down there, you can also insert a probiotic, and you can do that for once a day for 2 weeks. Go to bed, put your pants on, insert a small probiotic like an Inner Health Plus, and that will just help to support the good bacteria in that area, and that will also help to support the tissue and the mucous membrane down there. Okay, so what did I want to say next? So we've talked about hot flushes, we talked about supporting them through working on your stress. If you get tested and you know that you've got low progesterone levels, you can look at taking something like Vitex and Chaste, but that Vitex is wonderful for elevating your progesterone levels. I would go to Vitex before taking any other hormone supplements. And if you're looking at doing bioidentical hormones, please do the Dutch hormone test first. Always do the Dutch urinary hormone test before taking any hormones. That includes bioidentical hormones, because if you take bioidentical hormones and your body's not metabolizing hormones in a friendly way, it can cause more inflammation. So always do the Dutch hormone test, do that, then make a call if you want to take bioidentical hormones. That's the best way to go about it. But if you know you've got low progesterone, start with Vitex, see how you like that. It's a great way to get the body to produce a little bit more of its own progesterone. Even when you're in menopause, you can make hormones. We make hormones in our adrenals. We make hormones in fatty tissue. It's not just in our ovaries. So support your hormones, keep supporting them, and your body will keep producing them, even if it's at a small rate. And of course, hot flushes can be exacerbated by food. The foods that are high. Oh dear. Foods that are high in glutamate can do. If you've got high estrogen and high glutamate, that can cause hot flushes. and also hot and spicy food, heat, sensitivity to heat, that kind of thing. There are some emotional thoughts in hot flushes, you know, unresolved anger, sometimes shame. So you can also do some energy work, do some internal work and go deep and just see if there's anything else you're missing, anything else that you need to work on. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So the herbs that I like to use pre and post menopause, maca powder is good for raising estrogen and also raising testosterone. Vitex is wonderful at raising progesterone. It's a beautiful herb. Licorice is great for raising cortisol, and it also supports in estrogen. Black cohosh also raises your estrogen levels, and Dong Quai is also great for estrogen, and it's just Dong Quai is a beautiful, yummy herb that kind of moisturizes and causes everything to get all yummy again. So those are what the herbs do, and as you can see, that's why you need to be careful with taking specific herbs, because if you've already got high testosterone and you go and take maca powder, it could cause more. But you'll know pretty quickly, if you take maca powder and you get more hair sprouts on your face, you know the maca's turning into testosterone. So again, you go with your symptoms after taking herbs, after taking nutrients, and that will give you a good indication of what's actually changed and what the herbs are doing. So working on insulin resistance, your blood sugar, working on your stress levels, working on your thyroid, a key. Then just ensuring there's no other issues going on. Are there any immune issues? Are there any autoimmune conditions that you need to work on? What other symptoms are going on? Do you need to work on your gut? Those are the things you need to then start asking yourself and maybe working on, because of course everybody is different. So if you get anxiety and if you get insomnia, particularly postmenopausal, melatonin can be wonderful. Vitex can be wonderful. Taking GABA with niacin can be wonderful. Theanine is absolutely beautiful. So if you get anxiety and insomnia, I would recommend that. If you get more anxiety or depression, you know, ruminating thoughts, thoughts, and you're feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, you're crying all the time, you're not quite sure what's going on, GABA can be very helpful, but tryptophan can be very helpful. That can help raise your serotonin levels, and it can be wonderful. Now, coming off tryptophan, even though it's natural, can be difficult sometimes because you get so used to the serotonin. But if you're suffering from low moods, sad moods, check your thyroid first. Then maybe look at things like St. John's wort, tryptophan, licorice, Dong Quai, vitamin D, and doing things like cold therapy, intense interval training, exercise. So, but I find that anxiety is the most common, and anxiety, I have found GABA to be wonderful. GABA is wonderful, particularly if you've got kind of like stress and anxiety in the body, you feel it in the body, whereas tryptophan is more indicated if you've got those kind of ruminating thoughts. So, so in terms of that, in terms of how to kind of just simplify that, we've got pre and post menopause. You'll kind of look at it in the same way. You'll look at the main drivers. The main drivers being, you know, insulin resistance, managing and adapting to your stress levels, supporting your thyroid. Those are kind of the main things that you need to do. Then after that, you can do some extra testing, see what your hormones are doing, and then specifically add in nutrients, add in herbs that will support either anxiety, support either depression. So knowing that after postmenopausal, you will have issues with serotonin, most likely you'll have issues with dopamine as well. Low dopamine leaves you feeling unmotivated, sad, imposter syndrome, that kind of thing. And serotonin, it's more teary, ruminating thoughts, that kind of thing. So there are, I wonder if I've got that. I do have, I can find that and post it. There is, just to help you with the difference between low dopamine and low serotonin, so you would know what to do and how to process it and what to take, because it is slightly different. But that would be, those are the main things. Those are the main things to action it. You would first of all look after your thyroid. You would look after insulin resistance, manage your blood sugar, manage your stress, and then you would test, and then you would just add things on that you need to add on, because we all are a little bit different. So I hope, have I answered the specific questions? There were, those were the kind of the specific Specific questions on, let me just have a look. Let me go back to the Facebook page. Specific questions on menopause, I think that you all asked. I don't think I talked about anxiety, which was a big one. And of course, anxiety, GABA, niacin, tryptophan are all wonderful for anxiety. So if there are any other questions, please let me know. And obviously, it's a funny time, so if you can't join, just pop the questions below. Let me, can I find the questions? I've lost them. Here we go. Let's see what the most were about. So we've got a few here. So Lara Bell talks about, I was in quite significant adrenal fatigue 10 years ago. What are the signs? Am I still being affected now? So adrenal fatigue and low cortisol will give you maybe low blood pressure, will give you low blood sugar, craving for sugar and carbohydrates, recurrent infections, tingling, eye infections, sinus infections, gut infections, inability to heal from things, bruises, scars, depression, low moods, difficulty sleeping, ruminating thoughts, feeling sad. Some people get thoughts of depression as well. Some people get thoughts of self-harm. So those really low. You'll know if your low cortisol is low, gosh, you feel fuzzy, you don't have any drive, Lara. So if you feel your cortisol is low, you can do a little cortisol boost. The vitamin C is fantastic. Ginseng, magnesium, all of those things are great. Fat in your diet, that kind of thing. So I hope that helped. You can retest and see what it's doing. It's a good idea, but I think you'll know if you're getting those symptoms. So that's what I would look out for, Lara. So Emma asks, my depression and anxiety greatly increased during the 10 days before my periods. I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that one tomorrow. Management of migraines during perimenopause and phantom cramping. So phantom cramping isn't phantom cramping, Lizzie. If you're getting cramping, it's cramping. There is cramping happening. So whether the body, it's the hormones, whether the body is, there's inflammation down there, so it's cramping all the same. So migraines can be due to a couple of different things. So this is what you need to look out for, migraines. Is your thyroid okay, Lizzie? Is your thyroid working properly? Get your thyroid tested. I would take something like, you could take something like Vitex, but definitely take magnesium, vitamin C. Get your thyroid tested and then work on your stress levels, and those will help. You can also, I would definitely take B6 and B multi as well, activated B multi, and that will help with migraines. The migraines are happening either because your FSH is very high, in that case you need to work on your stress levels, or sometimes when there's estrogen dominance and low progesterone, we hold on to fluid, the fluid that gets in the brain, and we just get those migraines. So let's find the root cause of the migraines, putting aside that it's during perimenopause, what's causing it, because there could be a couple of things causing it. Magnesium, stress, thyroid, elevated FSH. So I would say test, find out what it is, and then you'll be able to get to the root cause. But for the moment, magnesium, 500 milligrams, 3 to 4 times a day, vitamin C, a B vitamin, and you can also do some, if you're feeling sad, depressed, if you're feeling low, you can also do some tryptophan as well to help get that serotonin up, and that will help with pain perception as well. So Katie, I've had problems with hormones throughout my 30s and 40s, suffering from severe symptoms. It was at times difficult to separate chronic fatigue from hormonal and possible thyroid. My mother had early perimenopause. I was trialed on various things like progesterone, estrogen, Like another gynecological implant device. This is a long one. The specialist said I could probably be on it until I'm 55. I'm 51 now and have been on it for several years. But a GP recently said to me that I have to be on menopause sometime soon. I'm assuming he thinks I should stop. Any thoughts? Here's what I would do, Katie. Test first. Test first, then decide what to do. So you prep yourself for coming off. If you're on, I would normally choose the pill as HRT, but it was the first time I got a lot of relief. I mean, if you're getting relief, it could be good, but you definitely want to be working in your liver, taking some Bs, taking some zinc, taking some magnesium. Prep yourself to come off it, Katie. That would be my advice. My advice for all women who are on HRT, bioidentical hormones, the oral contraceptive pill, you want to prep your body to come off it because it makes it a lot easier, and support it through looking after your thyroid, looking after your stress levels. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's all the questions. So if anybody else has any more, please feel free to pop them below. Thanks so much for those who joined live. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking about PMS, PMDD, those severe symptoms at the first, the luteal phase, the luteal phase of your cycle. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.